Guys, welcome back to Quick Notes with Chris. So today we're going to be talking about extreme ownership by the people Willink and Leif Barron. These guys are awesome. They're extremely high, incredible achievers. They're actually ex-Navy SEALs, specifically leaders of their platoon. So when it comes to leadership, they are definitely experts of handling high D personalities and probably the pinnacle whenever it comes to leadership, and definitely things that you should apply and start looking towards achieving more, especially if you already are in a management leadership position, looking towards starting your business, running a team, whether it's recreational or not. There are so many applicable lessons that you can learn from this book. So first of all, I highly suggest you read it, okay? On top of that, as much as I can give a quick summary, there are so many things that are in the book, give more in-depth overview and more in-depth explanation that I just simply won't be able to do in 10 minutes. So I highly suggest, if you do care about developing your leadership, read the book itself. But the first thing that the book talks about, it starts off with a story. Okay, it starts off with the story. So, they're two Navy SEALs, right? But specifically, I think it was Leif Barron is the one this is attributed to the story. So, this is the story of a unit of Navy SEALs were pinned down, and another unit was there attacking this basically building. And the author of the book was in charge of ordering an airstrike, but something seemed off. For some reason, the setting up of the events made him decide, I'm not going to call in this airstrike. Even though after they were held down for so many hours, being shot at by the ground units, by the people in this building, he decided not to airstrike it for some reason. Now, what ended up happening was that the people in the building were Navy SEALs, and the people on the ground were US Army Rangers. So, basically, there was friendly fire. Now, when they were trying to figure out after the events, this huge possible tragedy that was avoided, someone had to be at fault. Who was it? Well, they ended up starting looking through all the different basic people who gave commands, all these different people who looked at different parts of the operation. But the truth is that they couldn't find out exactly what it was. That was until the person who decided not to call in the airstrike, the person who wrote this book, said, it's my fault. I'm the one who's taking extreme ownership of this situation. And the reason why he did that was because the truth is he's the leader. He is the leader of this operation, which therefore means that he's accountable for all the running parts. Right? No matter how small or minuscule, no matter how little that it does come back to him, he does have a 1% stake minimum in the situation, which means that he has a 100% chance, opportunity to control the outcome. So therefore, by definition, he is accountable for himself, and he basically told everyone that he was the person at fault. Now, so many people would find this incredibly hard to do, because who the heck would want that on their hands if anything did happen to be wrong? But the truth is that it was the right thing to do. He truly does believe that he has extreme ownership of every part of the blame. And what that allowed him to do was basically understand that if he is at fault, where could he have improved? What improvements could he have made to make sure that this didn't happen? Now, once you basically take the mind off of blame, right, and take away and free yourself up from putting blame on everyone and put it on yourself, you can start moving towards actively solving the problem. Now, but on top of that, when it came to the politics of the decision, you would think that everybody would be like, I can't believe this dude, I don't want to stay around him. This is not someone that I want to be a part of, he's a terrible person. When in honesty, every single person in that team stood up for him. It's like the story of, I'm Spartacus. Everybody ended up achieving and understanding, like, look, we're all at fault here. Don't put the blame on him, put the blame on us. And essentially, everybody recognized that there was something that they could have done better to basically improve the situation and stop it from happening. And once that was happening, you had an entire unit, an entire massive amount of people in this operation who understood the blame was on themselves and started actively looking towards solutions. And it's for that reasons that type of thing doesn't happen again. That was back in 2008. That type of thing has never happened again. And the reason is because he was able to take ownership for something that no one was willing to, or no one was even wanting to accept, because the truth was that it was his fault, because he did have a percentage of the outcome on his stake. So he understood that he has 100% in order to control it. When one person takes the blame off everyone and puts it on themselves, everyone stands up, right? If you're working with good people and you want to be surrounded by good people, put the blame on yourself. And that's the way that it needs to be. Your circumstances are a result of your choices. That's the facts. Those are the facts. It's a tough thing to understand. If you're born poor, that's luck. That's not your choice. But if you die poor, that is. Your circumstances are completely dictated by your choices. So take extreme ownership of everything. I mean everything. If you can take extreme ownership, then you can understand where something's going wrong and the truth behind the result. Once you can start understanding the truth behind the result and the reason why it's happening, then you can start basically focusing on the problem. When everyone starts blaming, progress stops. Those are the facts. If you ever worked in part of a restaurant in hospitality, I know a lot of people have, whenever something goes wrong and people are refusing to accept blame, who knows that the progression of the kitchen ends up becoming worse than what it was. But if you've ever been in that situation where someone's like, yep, it was my fault, I'll fix it, And then all of a sudden, no one can bicker anymore. No one can start talking. They're like, yeah, right, well, he's done it, right? Well, that's how you want to be with yourself. If there's a problem in your life, understand that no matter how old you are, in my opinion, if you're above the age of 12, you can start applying this logic, right? Start accepting the fact that you are responsible for everything around you, not only your actions, but your circumstances. And that's a difficult thing to understand. It's a tough thing to comprehend. If you're leading someone and your goal is to get 10 sales and you've got 9, and your goal was to get 9, and that one person in your group didn't get 1, it's easy to put blame on them. It's very easy to put blame on them. But it actually doesn't achieve or better anyone. No matter what, the results are the same. What can you do to improve next time? Well, if you accept that you are in a leadership position, which means that you motivating him is just as important as him getting the result, because they're two of the same, then you can actively stop this process from coming up and happening again. And it's a crazy concept, but if you care about the results and improvement, then you understand that extreme ownership is the key towards making sure that a constant is happening. See, I was talking about how no matter where you go, you've got to take yourself with you. You are the constant in your life. No matter what, you can't escape from yourself. The person you are, you're going to take with you. Now, do you like the person you are? Well, that means that you need to change if you don't. And if you do, then that means that you're probably someone who either is going to be really successful or not. And if you're really successful, you're an individual who understands that you have more control than you think. You have to start accepting blame for things that seem so absurd and are obviously not yours, because if you are a part of the situation, you had an opportunity to change the outcome, right? And it results in more trust in you. How many people hate managers, absolutely despise managers, who, when they get in trouble by the boss, end up just directly talking about an employee? Oh, it's his fault. That's because that's a manager, not a leader, right? Now, every once in a while, you get a manager who truly is a leader, and he accepts blame for the team that he's running. And those are the types of people that you want to be. And those are the type of people that inspire others. People should feel protected by their leader, not fearful of them. They should be able to go to them with the problem that they've created in hopes of them solving it or helping them solve it. Not trying to cover up these issues because they're scared of receiving blame for the things that they did wrong. When in reality, when a car breaks down, right, you don't blame that part, you blame the driver, right? He's obviously done something wrong, whether it was indirectly or directly, right? You blame the driver. You don't blame the part because the part was there to do its job, right? You blame the driver, you blame the head of operations, right? But that doesn't mean that if you're a person who isn't in a leadership position, right, you're not in a leadership position, that you start blaming the leader straight away. Oh, it's his fault. No, you have to take responsibility for yourself, no matter what. The thing is, if you don't do that, you'll never be successful. Those are the facts. You will never be successful. And even if you are, somehow by miracle you'll lose it. Because the one thing that's consistent is yourself. So you need to understand that your decisions, you're more in control than you think. The leader must accept everything in his or her power in order to basically overcome and develop as a person. That's the facts. If you want to change or develop, you have to accept that you are responsible. It's really crazy because it's the same thing whenever it comes to a lot of addictions, a lot of bad relationships. Whenever it comes to breaking any bad things, it always starts with self-acceptance. It always starts accepting that you are the problem. No one else is. And the facts are that no one else is. No one else is. If you have a level of freedom, and I'm talking about if you're in a first world country and you're not being kidnapped or anything like that, then the facts are that you are in control. Your decisions are actively bringing that. Now, this is what I also noticed, because I was once in a toxic environment, and I truly believed that I didn't have control of the decisions that I was making. That is the biggest fallacy. If you're living in a toxic environment where you don't think that you're in control, that is the biggest fallacy. That is false. It is not going to be comfortable for you to understand that you are in control, right? And if anything, you might even be the victim, but the facts are that your choices are bringing you to where you are today. So do you want to make a change? If you want to make a change, the first step is always going to be accepting it. So to summarize, guys, if you want to be the most effective leader, you will have to take blame for every situation, no matter how obviously that it is not. No matter how much it is clearly someone else, it is always you. Always you. That is the only way to be consistent and basically directly working towards change. It's the only consistent way. And it's also the right thing to do. When you accept blame, more trust comes. Your team will trust you. Your team will understand that you always have their best intention in mind. If you can duplicate with this within yourself, all of a sudden you start developing leaders rather than followers. An intelligent leader, a great leader, inspires others to lead themselves. And that's what you should be looking towards striving. And the first way to do that is accept blame. Extreme. I'm talking extreme, right? Every little thing is your fault. That's how you need to view it. Anyways, guys, that's it for Quick Notes with Chris on extreme ownership. by Jared Willink and Leif Barn. I highly suggest you read the book if you haven't. But other than that, guys, keep striving towards putting yourself in a better improvement and position for success. I'll see you in the next one.